Brook Mitchell from Mycogen now joins us. Brook, here we are into April now. Things should be moving. They're not, just because of a winter we've had that, while nobody's really complaining, we want to see some sunshine. We want to get on with the spring planting.
Yes. Yeah, we've had a lot of delays due to the cool weather. A lot of moisture has come in, and it seems like every week we get a little bit of drying, and then we get the next phase of moisture that's come in. And so we've definitely had some delays on planting, as well as a lot of growers trying to get on their spring nitrogen at this stage of the game. So we've got a lot of potential out there that we might not get all the nitrogen that we'd like up front. A lot of growers are still thinking there's potential for some anhydrous if we can get some dry weather. If we do that, we definitely want to utilize the rule of thumb of 7 by 7, 7 inches deep, wait 7 days, especially if we're getting on 200 pounds up to 400 pounds of nitrogen out there. I really do believe we're going to see a lot more of smaller amounts of nitrogen at pre-plant, with the remainder coming in about V5, V6 with split nitrogen applications.
With the delay and with folks not being able to get their nitrogen on, what are the true possibilities of availability? Because I know a lot of farmers are looking at their bottom line as well, and if the price will be there. And so talk about, if there's some of those scenarios, why maybe a farmer needs to double down on why nitrogen is so important in the growing of that crop.
Every year it is always one of the top highly needed nutrients in that process. A lot of pounds go out every year in grain. I mean, you're looking at a 150 bushel grain crop. The removal rate is roughly 180 pounds. So we need that nitrogen out there to make sure we can get a decent crop with it. So again, if we can't get it all up front, we need to utilize those dollars effectively and try to get it best timing as possible. So again, I've discussed a lot with growers to look at V5, V6 to get out a good shot of nitrogen, and then maybe even a later shot, maybe fly it on potentially. Like I said, you get about V5, V6 all the way up to ear fill, you've got about 70% of your nitrogen needs. So really, if we're looking at planting time, let's look at a third of our nitrogen needs early up front. Especially with the extended forecast. They're talking, I think, the next 2 months above average moisture conditions. And if we start dealing with that with warmer soil temperatures, we can have some denitrification going on, especially central to eastern Kansas with our clay soils. We get 70-degree temps. We can easily lose 40 to 50% of our nitrogen if we're in saturated conditions for 3 to 5 days. So I really stress to growers to look at some split nitrogen applications to help us out in those scenarios.
Let's talk about the challenges, especially for those in northeast Kansas. We're still not at the peak yet of what might be coming down from the north. Any advice you give to farmers as they're kind of debating and seeing how to move forward?
Biggest advice I can give anyone at this stage is patience. I think we've still got plenty of time to get corn in the ground. I know we've got a lot of growers that have got the seed in place. As you look at planting time frames, you start in southeast Kansas, we've got up till late April to get a lot of our corn in. You move to north central Kansas, even to northwest Kansas, we could be looking at mid-April to late April as planting time frames go. So if we can get a little bit of dry weather, we can get our burn down in place, get the nitrogen that we need out there, and also get our residuals in place still. Again, patience game. We really would rather not have a grower get out and plant into really wet soils. If that's the case, we've got a very good chance we're going to have sidewall compactions, and that start right at the beginning of the season is important. Everything else dictates how that seed is placed. If that seed gets placed into a situation where, again, we've got sidewall compaction, we can see drought earlier on, stress out the plants, and end up affecting our yield long term.